Alright, can you guys hear me? Hope so. Got a thread here on my shirt. Probably not good for the shirt what I just did. Alright, here. You hear me? Awesome. Just going to grab some dice here because this is a toolkit that has some random generators in it. So I got, as you can see here, don't hear the feed if it is on. You can't hear it? Shit. Yeah. Why isn't it on? Well, hang on 2 seconds then. Can you hear me, Christian, then? Before I start turning everything on and off here? Yeah. Can you still hear? Okay, cool. Have to roll for some real damage here later for that. Anyways, so got my wine because I'm out of beer pretty much. However, I'm not a wine drinker, so I'm not even going to try and review this. It's an Apothic Red, I think, or an Apothic Dark. It's pretty tasty for wine, but it's what I got. So, I got a blank sheet on the screen, and I've got, hopefully, the toolkit here somewhere. See if I can call that up. See if I can call that up. There we go. Game Master's Toolkit. There's a bunch of stuff in here. Inspiration for stories, blah, blah, blah. The thing I want to talk about is... it's right here somewhere. For the start of it. I just hit end. It's a professional thing we got going on here. Professional. I guess we'll start back with supporting cast. So it says here, Pulp Adventures, including Howard's Tales, are packed with supporting cast members and provide added depth and drama to the tale. Supporting casts are themselves a tool that can drive the plot forward or provide an additional moment of intense drama within a plot that is layered in tension, blah, blah, blah. So this is a NPC type thing. Maybe player's friend. Maybe someone that's out to get them. But probably not the main bad guy. We'll deal with him later. So our nationality is a roll, 2d20. So you guys can't see my dice because I don't have another camera that looks down. But I'll just tell you what I roll here and we'll go from there. I'm going to have to do some math because I'm not good at adding enough stuff up quick, so bear with me. My calculator here. That's why I like roll under systems and where we roll dice and get successes because math is hard. Alright, 34. 34 says he is from Cachan. It's good supporting cast. I'm just typing this in so we don't forget. And we're going to jump over to here. I'm going to pull up a Hyborian map because mine's not done yet. Fire up this one because I like this one the best. View image. Turn that off for 2 seconds. So you guys will see that Cachan is down here. It's one of the Black Kingdoms. So this guy's going to be a black dude, African, kinda. So that's the first part of the start. Turn that back on. Back to here. Call it up so I can see it. Next thing we do is interesting quirks, which is another 2d20 roll. So that's 31. I can do that one in my head because it's 20 plus 11. So 31 is claims to know someone in every town and city. So that could be fun. And this isn't like roll, 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 and everything falls into place. You're going to have to get some ideas from it and generate your adventure as you go. All right. Let's go back to, well, I guess you guys still have it up, but scroll down here. Adventure title. What's this going to be called? So the first thing we do is roll d20. It gives us our title structure. So we get 11, which is the disposition of entity. Let's roll that in here. So, can't type because I'm dumb. The disposition of entity. So that's where it starts. Can't spell. There we go. All right. So now we'll just find our thing in here. Do we need an object? No, we didn't have an object in our roll. We do have an entity though. So we'll scroll down, roll our d20 for that. So we rolled a cock to die, so I will re-roll it for fun. 12. So sorcerer or witch. Back to here. We'll come back to our set of tables. And we'll roll for disposition. We're going to roll a 9. So the lost. The lost of the sorcerer or witch. So we could go a couple different ways with that. Let's go back to here. And it'll tell you, like sometimes you can drop or add a the to it or whatever. So we could call this, let's turn off the other screen here. We could turn this into the lost sorcerer or the lost of the sorcerer. We could use that too, right? Maybe we have to rescue some people from the sorcerer. The people are, maybe their souls the sorcerer is stolen. But as you work through this, you're going to just start getting ideas as you go, which is, I think, really cool. I did this for my next adventure, and I actually came up with some pretty cool ideas, so I'm pretty happy with it. But now we get to the adventure generator. So let's turn this back on so you guys can see it. Maybe he's just a confused sorcerer. Maybe he's crazy. I don't know. So, the opening setting. Frequently, the opening scene of a pulp adventure places the heroes of the tale in a strange and exotic location that it introduces an element of peril through its mere description. So, most of the stuff in this has, as we see here, 2 columns. So, 2 d20s are rolled for the opening setting, but the dice results are kept separate rather than summing them. The game master is free to choose which column the dice results relate to. So you can pick whichever one you want. So we're going to roll a 5 and a 20. So that's a crypt and roll twice and both apply. That's going to be, let's go back to my little thing. Let me write a crypt here. I'm going to actually write 2 things. Close this. We got a couple different options here. So Crypt is number 5. The other possibility for 5 is Eerie. Let's just drop this down here. So this is our opening location. And so we take Eerie, then the other one is Royal Court. If we take Crypt, it's 17 and a 10. The Rune Keep and Forest. Roll twice and both apply. Rune Keep, an empty Rune Keep. So I would say we have 2 choices here. We can have our opening location where the players start to be either an Eerie Royal Court, which might be interesting, or perhaps they're in a crypt underneath an empty Rune Keep. So let's go with that one. Oops. Just because that sounds more interesting to me. So, in the crypt, beneath, empty, runed, keep. You gotta figure out why they're there. I don't really know, but we'll get there. Once setting has been established, the non-player characters table can then be used to determine a troop of non-player characters that might be present at the scene, supported by the temperament table for their general attitude. The NPC characters determined by this table should be supporting the characters in some way. So our NPC characters is 1d20. I rolled 10. Mercenary soldiers. Temperaments. I rolled 11. Indifferent. Yeah, they're mercenaries, so that's okay. Maybe hired by the PC. Maybe the PCs are part of the mercenaries, but not really part of the mercenaries. Maybe they were hired by whoever hired the mercenaries as well. Perhaps. We will get to some areas down below where there's more plot hooks, but this is a good place to start, where the players will kind of begin things. Maybe they're there not disposing of a body, maybe they're there to investigate the crypt to find a body. So once we get to that, I'm just going to drop down to here. So it continues our little statement there. It says, the non-player characters determined by this table should be supporting the player characters in some way rather than opposing them. Although NPCs that are hostile to the player characters will have run afoul of the circumstances that have placed the player characters at the scene and will likely begin blaming them for their current predicament once the dust has settled. So, it goes on to say, having established the settings and some of the other people, it's often time to unveil the reason the player characters are there. This will establish the hook and has drawn them into their current predicament, the reason being blah blah blah. Hooks and draws table can be used to aid in sketching the outline, although the game master should further embellish this with their own narrative based upon the knowledge of the player characters in the group. And that for me was 100% true. As I worked through this, I was like, well, like my guys, I have 2 Zamorians in my party, and the supporting cast guy I rolled was Zamorian, so I'm like, well, maybe he knows one of those guys, and we'll go from there. In this case, we're just kind of doing as basic and random as we can, because we don't have PCs for this adventure. But we'll go back up and roll on the plot hooks and draws, and I believe we do the same thing. 2 d20s are rolled, and the results are, turn that back on for you guys there, you can see what I'm reading. So you roll 2d20s, and the results come separate rather than combined. So same as we just did before. So I'm going to roll a 15 and a 14. So 15 and 14 are plot concept, are cover up a dirty secret with an ancient feud. So they're probably some kind of ancient feud with sorcerers perhaps, and they're there to cover up a dirty secret. Or 15 and 14 are exploitation of a group of people, and to strike first is the motivation. So that one actually might work pretty well with our title, which is the Loss of the Sorcerer. I don't know what that was called. The Loss of the Sorcerer. So perhaps these people that he's trying to exploit are the people we have here. So let's go a group trying to be exploited / strike first. So how about the PCs are part of a mercenary band, and they're working for a noble in the area, and the noble in the area has watched this sorcerer start to oppress his peasants, and he wants to strike first and stop him before he can gain power and take over the kingdom or the county or wherever they happen to be, as an idea. And maybe there's some kind of power source in here that they're trying to get. Let's go back to the tables. The Antagonist. Every tale of triumph over adversity requires a villain or obstacle at its core. Sometimes this can be as basic in representation as a brutish ape-like fact from Rogues in the House, or as enigmatic as a devilish Zeltatoon from The Hour of the Dragon. The primary antagonist table will enable the game master to determine not only who or what is driving the plot, but also the primary trait that dominates the villain's character. So, well, the plot fulfillment and location table will reveal what the antagonist requires to succeed and where it can be found. I read that wrong. I had wrong intonation there. Alright, so that'll be further down there. Plot fulfillment and location will be later. Let's roll for our antagonist. So we got a 6 and a 3. An evil priest or priestess, and ambitious, or a villainous noble, and obsessed. So for us, based on our title that we rolled, an evil priest or priestess that's ambitious is probably actually pretty close to the concept that I'm working on. So let's go antagonist. And ambitious. So as you can see, despite the fact we're rolling completely randomly with this, we're actually getting some pretty interesting ideas in our heads going. So, oops, don't need that. I think I just crashed my fantasy grounds. All right, let's go back to our toolkit. Plot fulfillment and location. So again, this is one of those two dual 2d20 tables. So we're going to roll 2d20s. We're going to get a 1 and a 10. So the antagonist's requirement to fulfill plot could be willing sacrificial victims and from a sunken ship. 10 is the kidnap of a powerful figure. And so this is the single part about this I actually do not like. They've got stuff in here that are pretty generic, like a trap-filled dungeon, cool. The Vault of a Hidden Cult, awesome. Pirate Haven, that can work, depends where you are. But they also have stuff on here like Mount Yimsha, Hyperborea. And if you're playing and you guys are down in like Argos, pain in the ass to have your characters go all the way up to freaking, or all the way over east to Mount Yimsha to get the stuff, right? That's the single thing I don't like. So I quite often would go, so gluing sacrificial victims I like. And we already have them starting in a tomb, but maybe they don't actually live in the tomb. I mean, we could go with Mount Yimsha. What the hell? So he needs willing sacrificial victims and location at Mount Yimsha. Let's go with that. Let's see what happens. We'll play it. I don't like those specific locations, especially because we've already investigated them in Howard's stories. So I don't really like to go back to those, more or less. Like if they were like the Ghoul Haunted Forest on the border between Argos and Zingara, sure, that doesn't really get explored in the story. We know it's there and he goes through it, but we don't explore it. Whereas Mount Yimsha is pretty large part of that story. So anyways, go back to our thing here. Yeah, so he's supposed to have to need to get, maybe he does, so he has to get his victims from Mount Yimsha or the area around it, we'll say. Maybe that's what the players are trying to learn in that dead crypt. So misery and doom. Pulp adventures readily pile misery and doom upon the heroes. Yada yada. The obstacle and twist table should be used to generate both an obstacle and a plot twist that must be addressed by the player characters before reaching the adventure's conclusion. Again, this is a 2d20 table where we do not add them together. So we get 11 and 4. So 4, key knowledge is required. Held in a location or by a person. Okay. 11, a person or object that is required to foil the antagonist is also exactly what the antagonist needs. That's interesting. And the other way around would be famine and into the jaws of death. Nah, I don't like that one. So key knowledge that is required. Held by a person, location, usually guarded. And the thing the antagonist needs is what will stop him as well. Go back through and fix all my spelling mistakes because I can't spell worth shit apparently. Down here, goals and objectives. So we'll go back up here where we are. The goals and objectives table can be used to determine some possible personal goals and objectives for the player characters. These may require completion to overcome the plans of the primary antagonist, or they may be secondary goals that are independent of the overarching plot. Either way, it should be clear that they are personal ramifications to the player characters for not fulfilling the elements of this plot. So you can roll, the Game Master may choose to roll once for the group or once for each PC. Let's go down to here. Goals and objectives, lower 2d20s, 7 and 5. So 5 is protect, 7 is documents or secrets. And other way around is capture an opponent. So depending who your players are, perhaps they have been trying to capture like an NPC or, well, an NPC, but perhaps someone they've affected earlier in their travels, or someone that killed their parents or murdered their sister and brother, whatever. And if they do not complete this quest, they do not get some information that leads them over to this guy. So we'll say completing quest gives the party information on a recurring villain. So that's pretty neat. I noticed right now that my adventure toolkit is not long enough. Not even close. Funny. Oops. Oh well. Like I said before, this is a professional production. Alright, so capture an opponent, completing quest gives you blah blah blah. We'll go back to our goals and objectives. Personal objectives. So the following tables are used to further elaborate the requirements of the player's objectives. As already stated, these objectives can be used as personal goals or devices to further the plots. The artifact table requires the game master roll 2d20s as before, selecting the 1d20 to determine the type of artifact in question, and the second to provide the artifact with a descriptor or state of being. So, come down here, knowledge of personal objectives, so we'll roll 2d20 again, 19 and 13, cartographical data, and historian. And so I have something going through my brain already. 13, occult secrets, or wounded non-player character. So this is what I like. This is how I would go with this. Let's jump back to our I'm not sure what I'm trying to turn off here. I don't know what's happening. There we go. Okay. So, historian. So we could have this historian who's been around for a while, and he knows where this other reoccurring villain lives or is on the map. He's also the key to stopping the antagonist, Evil Priest, from fulfilling their plans, which is to have him be sacrificed. If he's finally willing to be sacrificed, the evil wizard will be able to complete a spell, which will lock the peasants in the county where you guys were hired into his bidding, which would be him being ambitious and trying to exploit a group. And using those peasants, he will rise up and take over the county. I turned my snakes off. There we go. So if he survives, they'll get their information and they'll stop the evil sorcerer. If he doesn't survive, he won't give them the information because he'll be dead. All right, let's go back to our I don't know where anything is on here. All right, let's fire this up here. All right. So we rolled cartographical data and historian, so we don't need an opponent, and we don't need an artifact. So now we can generate a few locations that you guys can get some ideas with. No story would be complete without a few sinister locations and exotic settings for the player characters to explore. We can't have the whole adventure take place in the crypt. It's boring. So you can use as many as you want here. We'll roll for like 2. So into here, location choice and atmosphere. 8 and 1. So rural and derelict, that might be okay. And the other way around is submerged building. That works less well for our adventure. So let's go with rural derelict, like maybe an old farm. I just wrote haunted there because I think that's kind of cool. So let's go here, rural derelict. If you wanted, you could roll a building type too. I mean, usually you only roll those for buildings, but maybe there's actually more on here. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, rural or marine locations. So we'll roll 2d20 for that as well. 19 and 3. 19 rural is Delta. And warship. Nope, don't like that. Plantation. And a sinking island. That's not really fitting, but interesting. So, derelict plantation. Main house abandoned. And sinking into the mud. So that's location 1. And I said we'd roll 2. We actually need 3 locations pretty probably. But you don't actually, I mean, we don't even have to have the sorcerer ever get to Mount Imshot. We could have the final confrontation between him and the players prior to that. But let's roll for next location and see what that comes up as. 16 and 7. So 16 is marine, so I probably don't like that one. 7 is rural again, so that's pretty good. 7 and 16 is remote. Okay. So we'll roll for rural or marine locations again. So 18 and 9. Mountains. Mountains. And 9 for that one is Pirate Heaven. Pirate Heaven doesn't work so good, but I'm not above just dropping stuff. The other way around is Swamp, which also is okay, and Island Chain. That's also interesting. You can have like a swamp, and in the swamp there's a group of islands that kind of stretch out, and they're not really islands in the general sense of the term. They're just areas where there's enough land to build buildings. So that's kind of interesting. Let's go with that, just because it's an interesting location. So rural, remote, swamp with small chain of islands. Scroll down. We didn't get any kind of legendary things. So that comes to the end of rolling the dice. And they got like an example in here that you can read once you get the toolkit. But if we review our concept, we've got a supporting character from Kashan who claims to know someone in every town and city. So he's probably hanging around with the PCs. He's probably got hired on from this lord. So let's write down here, Kashan NPC hired by Count with the PCs and other mercenaries to find information about the plans of priest to take over power. So that's kind of the general overriding concept. So they've been hired by this guy. I mean, this isn't really a hook kind of thing where you're like, you're in a tavern, you want to go with that kid who says he knows where some shit is? Or no. This is, you start the adventure with, you guys are in a party of adventurers. There's mercenaries around you. There's a guy from Kashan next to you. You seem to know him pretty well. You guys have entered this crypt. You have torches. You have your full equipment load. This place is old. The stones are cracked. And you're descending into the basement. And that's where you start your adventure. Then you can have like giant spiders, ghouls, whatever you want in there to attack them. It is a super awesome, quick way to develop an adventure. I totally agree with that, Christian. I was doing, just as an aside, I was running my adventures as an overarching campaign. And I think I'm I've decided to not do that. I've decided to run them more as single one-shot stories. No, not on the fly during play. No. I don't think that would work that well. If you were really, really good at figuring stuff out, sure, you could use the tables to figure stuff out quickly. Not the entire adventure, but if you needed to figure out an antagonist, you could roll the antagonist table and figure someone up pretty quickly and use them in that way. But as a collection of tables, no, it's more to be used to develop that adventure they're going to go on, like I said, as one-shots, as a single pulp story, which is how I'm going to use it. And I'm probably going to inject things into each individual little pulp story that tie back to that overarching campaign that I was working on. So, yeah, it's like you're reading my mind, Christian. And then when you get them done, they're back in town. You guys can do the carousing phase. I'm planning on doing the carousing phase online, but away from the table. So we play, with my group, we play about once a month. So I'm trying to get these down to be an adventure they can do in a single day, a single evening. And that way, if some of the group can't make it, it doesn't matter as much. And then once they're done, we'll be like, you guys got this much stuff, you have this much gold. And then we will fill out a form which says they want to do this, and this. And when they do that, I'll generate all the stuff for them. It'll be like, you have these rumors, you lost this much gambling, you have all your upkeep stuff, you visited your patron guy, so he has a mission for you, whatever. And we'll come back into the adventure the next time, and we'll go from there. I mean, this won't be a thing that I would roll for and be like, well, he said this, so I have to use that. I might even roll a few of these up. So if my players in their carousing phase had said that one of the guys wanted to go talk to the patron, which was the count, and yeah, exactly. Towards the end of the session is totally cool for carousing because that's what it should be. But if they had said they wanted to go talk to the count or hear rumors, whatever, some of the rumors might be one adventure, and the count might be the guy they go talk to, and he's like, I have this problem. I need to hire you guys with some mercenaries, and at which point in time we could roll right into this adventure where they're starting in the crypt. Or we could go into another adventure that we've generated somewhere else. Because, I mean, you can generate some pretty quick ideas here and get a good outline for your adventure. So we've got a crypt, we've got a derelict plantation, main house abandoned, sinking into the mud. We've got a remote swamp, a small chain of islands, and I might even roll a third location quick just to be the kind of end place. Derelict plantation, maybe where that historian used to live at one point in time, so it's got some clues to him. But there's probably some puzzles they got to figure out in there. I mean, there's a reason they're there, get some information. Remote swamp, that's a good place for all kinds of nasty things. If you watch Hankered for Now over at Runehammer Games, the main house abandoned and sinking into the mud is perfect thing to use a timer for. I mean, you roll 1d4 and every time that ticks down, it sinks further down and more of it's lost. So if they got a timer, they got to get stuff done. There's a pressure on them at all times, which is pretty cool. But I think it's a pretty neat system. I'm actually pretty happy with it. Like I said, I wasn't 100% sure. We go back to my home here. We get rid of that for 2 seconds. So this is the one that I'm working on for my adventure. Supporting cast. I rolled Ebon Ghost of the Temple. So I rolled CV, Entity of Location, Ghost, Spirit, Spectre, Temple, Color. So I got Ebon Ghost of the Temple in my opening setting. This is a back alley. I rolled Frozen, which I didn't like, so I took that one. Some porters. I'm going to have them attacking the Zamorian. Those guys know because you didn't pay them. There's a local militia. They're seeking some revenge. And the players get hooked up with that through the Zamorian. They're trying to gain control of a person or place. Blah, blah, blah. So at the end of the day, they got to roll over to that. These are my encounters I've come up with based on that. So there's a road to the forest. There's a haunted forest. I have some flooded areas. So being on the coastline, they can, you know, they're going to go deep into the city, and the bottom areas are going to be flooded. It should be pretty cool. But you know, my intro written there. I don't have the whole thing finished yet, but it gave me a really awesome place to start and move forward. So it's I think a cool thing. So I highly like it. I'll give that like two big thumbs up in terms of awesome toolkits to use to make your adventures quicker and get good ideas if you don't have any. If you got some, awesome. Use those. But if you don't have some, good way to start them right there. Good way to start them. Let me go through the rest of this toolkit. There's not much else in here, in all honesty. There's some reference pages, which are handy. Your toolkits in there, swords, shields, barning. We've got the squad leader sheet on. You guys can't see it. Man, I gotta turn shit on. I forget. So, not much more in here. There's some reference sheets. So hazards, hazard difficulties, the displays of might and power, your toolkits, your weapons, armor. These are all really handy tables, don't get me wrong. And then we got the squad sheet. And I posted on the Conan Google Plus group, and I'll probably put a link below when I've done all this. I went through this and made it into a PDF so you can enter your stuff in there. Form fillable PDF, they're called. Yeah, did that. And other than that, it's really those reference tables, this section on building adventures, and ideas and theories and concepts on how to write a pulp story, really, which is cool. Starts with weird tales and pulp stories, and fight stories rather, which are the kind of the two things Howard wrote a lot of. So it's a cool little pamphlet. Definitely a great addition to that Game Master screen. Wow. So yeah. But hopefully that gives you guys a good idea of the thing. Like, I think that's actually a relatively useful tool for a lot of role-playing games, to be honest. Not that I think people playing D&D are going to go out and buy the Conan 2D20 Game Master screen to get that. But hey, who knows? Who knows? Anyways, yeah. Does anyone have any questions or ideas? Things they want to ask? We're pretty much done here, I think, so I'll just go through that. And while I'm waiting for you guys to let me know if you have any other comments or questions, I want to tell everyone out there that we are at like 438 subscribers or something like that. I'm going to look it up because I'm getting close. I'm going to look it up. I'm going to look it up. 438 subscribers. I started this channel on November 30th. 10 days ago last year. No, 10 days in the future last year. It's November 20th now. So in 10 days, this channel will have been around for 1 year. In that time, we've created 60 plus videos, which is pretty cool. I would love to get to 500 in 10 days. It's pretty unlikely, to be honest. But if you like the channel, subscribe to everything here. And I mean, I'm going to get to 500. That's probably going to happen. I mean, I don't doubt it. It would just be cool to get there in that time frame. So subscribe to the channel if you like it. I'm creating new content weekly. I hope to have a craft video out this week, but I don't know. But we'll see. I'm building, let's reach over here. I'm going to grab one thing I'm working on. So last week I built stairs that went up. This week I'm building stairs that go down. Because I think they're a really cool thing, which is another reason to have a little bit of depth to your top. So that's going to be the next one. I've got it partially filmed. I was out of town this weekend, so I didn't have time to really work on it, but I had a good time. So, but if I do not get that out this week, I will get it out next week, and I will have this out this week, and I'll probably try and do It Came From the Underdark on Friday, which is what happened this week and last week in the world of gaming for me. I hope to get Mythic Battles Pantheon in the next week or two, in which case we'll do another unboxing of that. And if you guys want to know when that happens, please don't forget to click that like button and that subscribe button and that bell button. And I haven't figured out exactly what I want to do yet, but I'm really strongly considering a contest of some kind. I don't have anything to give away, so I have money. I can give money away. I don't know if that's legal or not, but what I can probably do is maybe give a gift certificate for a drive-through RPG of some denomination to the guy that I decide, or girl, that gets it. So I'm probably going to go that way, but I'm probably not going to announce anything until I get to 450 subscribers, because that seems like a good number to announce that. And that's kind of, if you've been watching the channel, I've released a couple of little quick videos called Road to Vanaheim and the Northern Foothills, as I've gotten 10 subscribers. So I got one at 410, and then the other one was 420, 430, because they came in really fast. And then at 440 I'll do another one, and at 450 I'll do another one, providing I can do them, like, if it gets done in a day, then yeah, it's not far either way. I just know that I get not enough subscribers a day to make that little goal, but it would be neat, so hopefully we do. Now 450 is close, but I mean, I might not get to, if I don't get a video published this week on crafting, I might not get there until the 30th, to be honest. When I publish a video like a crafting video, I get 10 or 11 subs, and if I publish one of these, I might get a couple. We'll see. These are less popular because they're more focused on a particular RPG, whereas and a small niche RPG too. It's not like it's focused on Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition or something like that. So awesome, good to hear, man. I will post this over there as well, and like I say, I'll probably announce a contest at 450, whether or not we're going to get it underneath the November 30th or not. I didn't really know what happened with the channel, to be honest, when I started it. I thought I'd see how things went. It hasn't really picked up steam like I hoped it did, but I get that it's picked up some steam, which is cool, and it's got a pretty small niche market, to be honest, which is what it is. So I'm happy to give them back a little bit, and even if there's only 500 subscribers, it's better than like 2 subscribers or 3 subscribers or something like that. I'm not trying to make my freaking living out of this channel, so we're just trying to bring Conan to the masses in some way. But that's that. So thanks a lot, Christian. I don't know if Roll for Damage is still kicking around over there. Sure, I've seen his actual name, but I don't remember it, so I'm just going to call him Mr. Roll for Damage, like I called Aaron Mr. The Forge, because I think that's funny, and I'm a funny guy, so I think I'm funny. Anyways, you guys all have a great night. Go find some wine or beer, whatever you want to drink. So I really enjoy the system too. My players all do as well, so it's pretty fun. We got my game. I got a game this weekend actually, so I'll see how that goes. I'll try out that new adventure, and we will see how things are. So, anyways, cheers everyone. I'll talk to you later. That's the end of the stream. You guys all have a great night. And I gotta